morning, Namaskar. This is Engineer Suraj saying. I'm just going to talk about curing of concrete. Let us say buildings. First item is blinding concrete. Second item is footing. Third item is stub column. Then graded slab, and then superstructure columns, and then suspended slabs. Let us start with blinding concrete. Blinding concrete means lean concrete. Blinding concrete generally M15, M10, M20 like that. Thickness is about 50 mm or 75 mm. After laying the blinding concrete and giving it rough finish or smooth finish as the case may be, I think the smooth finish is better because waterproofing membrane is to apply on that. Immediate sprinkling of water can be done, not in heavy dose but in light dose. It's no use to spray curing the mud. Curing the mud is very expensive and this is lean concrete, so let us say we'll spray water on that after it gets dry in 4 or 5 hours. If it's cold, it will be the next day. And heavy doses continue for about 3-4 times a day. And it is done for 3 days or 4 days. We should not wait for 7 days or 10 days later because it will be covered by the waterproofing, so automatic curing will continue. Let us say for the next item, that is about footings, independent footings or any footing. There is exposed unformed surface which you can expose surface to weather, which is given, you can say, float finish after concrete is done. That is finish is float but smooth, so that it should also receive waterproof membrane. Immediately after laying concrete, when it starts getting dried out to prevent formation of shrinkages, we should apply curing compound on that. Curing compound should be preferably water-based. If possible, you can apply wax-based also. I think water-based is better than wax-based for the purpose, which will I explain later on. After the concrete is cast and it starts getting dried out, spray the curing compound. That is sufficient for the purpose of curing. But next day you have to start spraying water on that in heavy dose because workers start doing job of stub on that and this membrane can go. So we keep it wet with heavy dose of water for a minimum of 7 days to 10 days depending upon the weather conditions. Heavy dose is given and after 48 hours or say 24 hours or say 2 days, 3 days you can say you have to remove the sides also. If you remove the sides, the further surfaces shall also be exposed. Those exposed surfaces will be applied again curing compound. And you can hang saturated gunny bags from the side covered with polythene sheets. And this all system should remain wet. It should not be allowed to be dried out. And this should continue for 7 days, 8 days, 9 days, 10 days, as the case may be, depending upon the specifications as well as depending upon the weather conditions. Work of stub column should continue. Work of steel reinforcement fixing should continue on that. And you can erect the stub columns and pour them. The day of pouring of stub columns, when you finish the pouring, you have to cover top portion of the column by saturated gunny bag, or you should cover with the polythene if steel allows it. Or you can just take a packet of polythene or saturated resin and put on the top of that so that evaporation is prevented. So that next day, when you open the sides, or after 48 hours, as the case may be, you start pouring water on the sides so that this water would remain below the membrane, which will be formed after applying the curing compound. You apply the curing compound on that so that a good membrane is formed. After that, keep it wet as by, if it is possible, to use your gunny bags or your Hessian, saturated Hessian and polythene sheet is wrapped around and continue water pouring or keeping it wet for another 7 days. It is easy way, it's not difficult. Same type, you can work on the foundation beams if it is a design part and apply the same system. But the question comes, when you reach after backfilling, you reach the grade slab. Graded slab is a very complicated item in the sense that it requires services also, and in some cases below the graded slab you have to apply blinding concrete, while in some other cases you don't have to apply blinding cases. If your design says no, you have to apply blinding cases below the graded slab as well, you have to follow the same specifications as I have given for blinding concrete. Polythene sheet is also applied there. After doing all preparatory works for the graded slab, You have to apply curing compound as it is, but the work is to go on there for another many days. What you should do? You have to apply water also on that. Keep it wet, or if possible, just make your queries around compartments and put water there for 3-4 days. Heavy duty, you should remain flooded all the time, or you can keep on pouring water all the time, depending on the situation of the site. If water flooding prevents further activity on that, you can use spraying of water by pipe, and what concrete should not be allowed to be tried. When you start the columns, the superstructure, after doing all the preparatory works and after pouring, the same system should have that on the top of that you have to place the saturated adhesion, or you have to cover the top, and after 48 hours or 36 hours, whatever is the time given for distracting columns. But you inspect the surface, immediately put water on that, and you can start spraying the curing compound. It's better to use water-based curing compound and not wax-based curing compound, because wax-based will obstruct your plastering work on that. And if you have to plaster, you have to chip this immediately, and after many days, you can say after 7 or 8 days. But before, you have to apply the curing compound and on the water sprayed on the surface, and then use the same gummy rags, hessians, saturated hessians, wrapped around the column, and then membrane, plastic membrane to be applied on that. All the columns should be done that way. The general principle, general process, can say, no surface of the concrete should be allowed to be dry. Then it comes to the case of suspended slabs. Walls are the same as columns, means you have to apply compound and then cover it by saturated. You should just keep it wet. One thing we know, that when you use the spraying of water on the vertical surfaces, a lot of water is wasted. You cannot recover it. But there's no other way. Even after applying curing compound, you have to help surface by spraying water on that. When a case comes for the suspended slab, it's very important that it takes a lot of time, and hundreds of meters concrete is laid on that. And you say about 12 hours pouring, sometimes 18 hours pouring, sometimes 24 hours pouring, and sometimes it's small pouring. Immediately after 2 or 3 hours in the hot weather conditions, you have to start pouring curing compound on the surface and continue it till the slab is finished. After that, possibly next day, you will spray water, but before that, on the same day, after concrete is completed and compound is sprayed on that, you have to spread polythene sheet on the whole surface. And the next day, for example, after 8 to 10 hours, even in the night, you have to remove these polythene sheets, cover saturated adhesions on the surface, recover the surface of polythene with covers of polythene, and then start spraying water on that. The surface should remain wet for any number of days. Generally, it is also possible that because people have to work on that next day or after 2 days, you have to remove all the system and make compartments in the slab. After that, you have to flood the slab with water, and it should remain there for many days. That is the general principle practically carried out on sites, and these procedures are effective. Well, there is a shortage of time on this video. I'll stop here. Thank you very much for kind attention. Be with me for the next videos. Next time, thank you. Suraj.